I am joined by Dr. Rasa
Yes,
Bihari.
Rasa. You can just call me Rasa.
All right. Super stoked to have you on today. And I was truly, truly blown away by your knowledge. If you could give us a little bit of background of who you are, what you do, all that jazz, that would be awesome.
Okay, well, mainly I'm a physicist. I work in the area of what you call free energy or 0 point energy. I'm also the admin of this Facebook group called the Moon Landing Hoax. You have to search a moon-landing hoax. And also we have a YouTube page also called moon-landing hoax. And I also have another YouTube page which is called 0 point energy. So that's it. You know, I live in China. I'm working with the Chinese Space Agency.
利用月面着陆器呢，将2名航天员、月球车相关的载荷送达月球表面。航天员呢，就乘着月球车在10公里的范围之内开展月球采样以及相应的月面实验。之后呢，再发射相应的舱段，组装成月面科研实验站。具备这个中期驻留的这个能力，之后呢，也可以考虑呢，利用月面的原物资源进行月面设施的建造，进一步的扩展这个月球科研实验站的功能。这个只是个初步设想，后面还需要进行更进一步的这种方案的这种论证。
Let's take a look here. So, we've got a guy standing there. He's got a little bit of a pillar in front of him. I wonder what's going to happen. Let's see. Interesting. This is, well, obviously not properly constructed. There's no rebar in there. And so they probably used it for fake crops. Yeah, that's not what you want, especially if kids are playing around. And this is what we call the 中国特色 of 豆腐渣工程, which means tofu dross or tofu dreg or tofu slag construction. And this is something that plagues China all over. So it continued to burn because the fire hoses didn't work. So all you need is a Chinese fire extinguisher and you'll be able to help. Yep, so it needs to be safe. You know, Bet you these guys are regretting putting on this demonstration right now. Anyway.
I'm working with the Chinese Space Agency on the protection from radiation in deep space. So I have a lot of knowledge about space travel. You know, I'm an astrophysicist. And also I'm a historian. I'm writing a book now about the history of the private central bankers.
That's awesome. Now, you said you're an astrophysicist. I've heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say in the past that there's not very many in the world. So that's pretty awesome. I can't remember what number he gave. It wasn't more than 1,000, if I remember correctly. There's only like a few hundred. According to him, anyways. He is full of shit on many other things, so...
Hey, what's going on this side?
So who knows? But I did want to ask you about, is that true?
I don't know. I would think there'd be many more. You have NASA and the European Space Agency, Russian Space Agency, India, China, Japan. There must be a lot of people who studied astrophysics to get a job like that.
Yeah, the moon landing for me is something that I came into rather late, just only a few years. I think once I started having distrust for government in general, you know, I started looking at many other subjects like 9/11. I've been wanting to have a show like this, you know, regarding the moon landings. And what better person, in my opinion, to have an actual astrophysicist, someone that is super knowledgeable and works in this tech, and someone that doesn't believe in the English. So give us a little bit of background. What got you down this rabbit hole? It seems like it was several years ago, right?
Actually, it really began when I was age 7. There was what was called the Iranian hostage crisis and the Iranian Revolution. And I was just 7 years old, but my mother taught me these guys are just trying to get Carter out of office because Carter was an anti-war president. So they organized this Iranian hostage crisis in order to smear his name. So I was just 7 years old when I learned that the government was lying and cheating. And I was offered a job at NASA in 1999, but I turned them down because that I'm leaving the country. I don't like this country. Then later, I was in 2001, I happened to be in New York City when 9/11 happened. But what happened regarding the moon landings was I saw Bart Sibrel's documentary, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to a Moon, and that other one, What Happened on the Moon, back in 2001. But me being a scientist and having a background in astrophysics, that was a little hard to believe. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's going a little far with the moon landing being a hoax. So it was very difficult for me to consider that seriously. But then what happened was, I was going to fly from America to India, and I was getting on my airplane at the JFK airport in New York City. Get on with it! And as I was walking to my plane, they had this full-size, life-size image of the man on the moon. In the airport. And then you can see the astronaut and the mountains in the background. And you have the forescreen and the back screen. So if you can look at that image, life-size, extremely high resolution, blown up life-size, you can see that the mountains in the background and the forescreen, there's a different grains, how to say, camera grains. The grains on the ground he's standing changes when it's in the background. You can't see this on a computer screen, but maybe if you ever go to the JFK airport in New York, you can see this full life-size image. You can stand next to him and take your picture. And he's the same size as you. And when you see that clarity, you can see the background and the foreground are a different image. And so I was convinced at that time